When I saw my boss stepping out of a hotel room with a strange man, I knew my career would never be the same again. My name is Jessica Carter, 30 years old, living in New York City, a place where every dream comes with a price. I worked as the personal assistant to Mr. Daniel Reed, CEO of Reedwell Technologies, a tech firm valued in the hundreds of millions. My job was to schedule, protect, and most importantly, never ask the wrong questions. But one Thursday, everything changed. I was instructed to book an emergency flight to Washington, D.C. for Mr. Reed, no meeting notes, no explanation. Just a cold message, handle it. No one must know. Curiosity got the best of me. I did what I should never have done. I followed him. And in that moment, my world collapsed. I saw him step out of the Lancaster Grand Hotel, walking alongside another man, not a client, not a partner, but James Alcott, our senior legal counsel. They laughed, touched hands, like two lovers hiding in plain sight. I didn't freeze because they were men. I froze because if this got out, Reedwell would fall apart. I returned to the office with panic boiling under my skin. 3 days later, I got an email from HR. Assistant Jessica Carter is terminated for violation of professional ethics. No warning. No reason. Just a swift kick from the chair I'd spent 7 years earning. I knew why. I knew too much. And now, I was a threat. After receiving the termination email, I walked into the office like a criminal. My coworkers avoided my eyes as if I carried a plague. They didn't know what happened, but they knew, touch the boss, and you're gone. I called Daniel. No answer. I texted James. Seen, no reply. But I'm not one to give up easily. I opened my old external hard drive, where I had archived 7 years of work records. And then I remembered, I had accidentally saved an old voice recording, a late-night phone call between Daniel and James. They were arguing about hiding internal contracts, dodging taxes from Panama investments. I trembled. This wasn't just about an affair, this was financial crime. I turned to Laura, my best friend from college, now an investigative journalist for a national news outlet. If you have evidence, she said, you can protect yourself. Or at least, expose them. I didn't know if I had the strength to take on a corporation. But staying silent? Could I live with myself? 2 days later, I received an anonymous text, stop digging. We know what you're doing. I called Laura immediately. She told me to get out of New York. Lay low. Let me investigate. At 3 a.m., I packed a bag and left the city. As the bus pulled out of the Lincoln Tunnel, I stared back at the lights behind me, the lights of deception, power, and secrets I was never meant to uncover. But I had. And there was no turning back. I thought I was safe. Asheville, North Carolina, was peaceful like a painting, no one knew me, no one cared about New York dramas. I rented a small room under a fake name, cut off all contact, used a prepaid phone. Laura called every night. She said she'd uncovered strange entries in Reedwell's financial records, untraceable expenses, offshore accounts. If this is real, she whispered, they're laundering money. Big time. I sighed. A part of me wanted to run. But the other couldn't unsee the truth. On my third night in Asheville, I heard a noise outside my window. Nothing there. Maybe the wind. But the next morning, I found fresh footprints in the mud, right outside the back door. I locked every window, drew the curtains, didn't leave the room. But the messages kept coming. We warned you. You chose the wrong side. Panic took over. No one knew where I was. How did they find me? I called Laura. Her voice was faint, someone, following me. Then silence. I broke down. This wasn't about work anymore. This was power, survival, and control. That night, someone knocked on my door. 3 knocks. Slow. I held my breath. Gripped a kitchen knife. Silence. Then footsteps, walking away. I didn't sleep. Laura didn't call back. I checked my phone, all my email accounts were locked out. I realized, if I don't act, I'll vanish like I never existed. I once thought I was just a secretary. But when they tried to silence me, I realized I held the one thing they feared most, the truth. The next morning, I packed my bags and left Asheville. I headed to Atlanta, to the offices of an independent whistleblower protection group, the one Laura had once called our last resort. There, I turned in everything, the voice recording, the financial data, the shady offshore transfers from Daniel Reed. I told them everything. No more secrets. Still no sign of Laura. Then I received an encrypted email from someone inside Reedwell's media team. Jessica, Laura was taken. If you want to live, disappear. Forever. I froze. Panic. But no more running. I sent all the files to 3 places, the FBI, a major newspaper, and a massive YouTube channel that specialized in corporate scandals. I included a video of myself, face visible, voice trembling, recounting the entire story. I knew, either they'd be exposed or I'd be erased. 3 days later, Reedwell hit the news. Daniel Reed was under investigation. James Alcott vanished from the office. Laura was found, weak, but alive. I got a call from an FBI agent. You did what no one in our legal system dared. But you need to leave the country. We'll protect you. That day, I left Atlanta International Airport with a new passport. On the plane, I stared down at the clouds, fragments of my shattered past, and I smiled. 2 months after I left the US, the pieces began to fall. News outlets buzzed with one name, Reedwell Technologies, once a tech icon, now crumbling like a house of cards. Daniel Reed was arrested at JFK Airport trying to board a flight to Switzerland with a fake passport. He wore a suit, but his eyes were hollow, like a man stripped of power and soul. James Alcott, the once feared legal strategist, was placed on the FBI's most wanted list for aiding money laundering, witness tampering, and destruction of evidence. He was found a month later, hiding in a luxury villa in Florida, living like a king while his victims lived in fear. The Reedwell case became a landmark in America's corporate justice history. The hearings were broadcast nationwide. I, Jessica Carter, testified via a secure video feed, my identity shielded. I heard Daniel's voice in court, I did nothing wrong. She's making this up. But when the evidence, the voice recordings, the internal emails, the transaction trails, was laid bare, the courtroom fell silent. Daniel was sentenced to 28 years in federal prison, without parole. James, 19 years. Employees who had looked the other way had to testify. Some were reprimanded. Some were fired. A few took their own lives under public shame. Laura, my best friend, survived the ordeal, but never fully recovered. She left journalism, moved to the countryside, seeking peace. We still talk. She rarely speaks. But she doesn't have to. We understand each other. And me? I live in a small European country now, working for an international organization that protects whistleblowers. I've turned my pain into purpose, helping those who dared to speak the truth. I was once a secretary. Now, I'm a guardian of justice. And I believe one thing, truth can be buried, but it can never be destroyed.